Welcome to Film Tale Echoes. We all fear sharks, snakes, and wild beasts. But the deadliest predator on Earth isn't one of them. This story will reveal the chilling truth about the most dangerous species alive today. It begins in Australia, where a young tourist couple finds themselves left behind by their group. Hungry for adventure, they wander to the shoreline and discover a shark cage diving tour run by a man named Tucker. At first, he appears energetic and eccentric, sharing the story of how he survived a shark attack as a child, even revealing the scars that prove it. To Tucker, sharks are not killers. They are creatures to be respected and admired, and he claims he shares a strange, unbreakable bond with them. Intrigued, the couple is lowered into a cage, face to face with enormous predators circling beneath them. Terror grips them, yet awe soon replaces it as they realize the sharks rarely attack unless provoked. They return to the surface exhilarated, believing the danger has passed, but danger never left. In a sudden, horrifying twist, Tucker drives a blade into the boyfriend's neck and throws him into the sea. Heather's screams vanish into the empty horizon. The real predator was never the sharks, it was the man on the boat. Meanwhile, far from the Australian coast, Zephyr, a carefree American surfer, rides the waves with the freedom of the ocean at her back. Her life is simple, untethered, and solitary. At a gas station, she encounters Moses, a stranded agent whose car has broken down. Against her instincts, she offers him a ride. Over the journey, they share a love for the sea and surfing, and a fleeting bond forms. But Zephyr values freedom above all. When Moses is distracted, she quietly drives away, leaving him behind. Later, at the beach, Zephyr searches for fins for her surfboard. A stranger offers them, but she doesn't realize this man is Tucker. His probing questions make her uneasy, and he eventually drives off, frustrated. Yet the danger is not gone. Tucker returns with lethal intent. Knocked unconscious, Zephyr awakens beneath his boat, bound and gagged. She is not alone. Heather lies beside her, still alive but broken, warning that no one can hear them in the vast, empty sea. On the wall, Zephyr notices a chilling clue. Another girl's name, carved into the metal. Someone else had been trapped here before and never escaped. The realization strikes. The sharks are not the deadliest predators. The most dangerous species on Earth walks upright, and it is hunting them both. Zephyr refused to surrender, straining against her restraints while Heather lay defeated, silent from countless failed attempts. Above deck, Tucker moved with eerie calm, fishing as though nothing horrifying had just occurred below. Zephyr asked Heather if anyone was searching for her, and Heather's trembling voice revealed the devastating truth. She had been with a boy, but Tucker had killed him. The realization hit Zephyr like a wave. Any hope of rescue was slipping away. Hours dragged on. Zephyr's exhaustion was relentless, but her sharp eyes caught a glint, a thin wire hidden in Heather's clothes. Carefully, she worked at her bonds, inch by inch, while Tucker's attention remained elsewhere. When he returned with food and water, the heat in the room became unbearable. Heather clutched the water, trying to shield Zephyr's efforts, but Tucker's suspicious eyes narrowed. Zephyr feigned compliance, swallowing her share of food, and Tucker departed with a sinister glare. No sooner had the door closed than Zephyr resumed her desperate work. Then, her world spun. The water had been laced with sedatives. Her body went heavy, her vision blurred, and consciousness slipped away, dragging both women into darkness. When Zephyr awoke again, the horror had escalated. She was tied to a chair on the boat's deck, while Heather dangled helplessly by straps. Tucker had set up a camera, calling it his shoot. He cut Heather's hair and muttered his delusional creed. The gods were not above, they were below, in the water. Blood spilled into the sea and the scent drew sharks into a frenzy. Within moments, Heather was torn apart, her screams drowned by the circling predators, the brutal act captured on film as Tucker's latest twisted sacrifice. Zephyr, trembling, watched helplessly. She carved both her name and Heather's into the wall, only to discover dozens of other names scratched out and hidden. This was no accident. Tucker was a serial killer. Hundreds of recordings lined the shelves above deck, each chronicling the deaths of women, marked with strands of their hair. Heather's tape was just the latest in a horrifying collection. Meanwhile, on shore, Moses's worry consumed him. When Zephyr's van disappeared, unease gnawed at him. Searching tirelessly, he found her surfboard washed up on the beach. Her belongings were here. But she was not. Back on the boat, Zephyr's fury ignited. When Tucker returned with food and water, she kicked the tray aside and spat her contempt, calling him a worm, not a shark. Enraged, Tucker stormed off, leaving Zephyr alone to craft a jagged weapon from a shattered bucket. When he returned with a syringe intended to sedate her, Zephyr struck first, plunging the weapon into his neck. Blood sprayed and Tucker collapsed. Snatching his keys, she freed herself and scrambled upward. But Tucker manages to stab her leg with the syringe before she escapes. Limping across the deck, she grabbed the radio, calling for help in desperate screams. Spotting a distant party boat, she hurled her voice toward it, but the music drowned her pleas. Tucker, enraged, climbed after her. In a daring move, Zephyr snatched his camera and hurled it into the sea, diving after it to delay him. Exhaustion and lingering sedatives overtook her mid-swim, and Tucker dragged her back aboard, tying her down once more. Without his camera, he could not kill her. The obsession driving him now became her chance for survival. Frustrated, Tucker left to fetch new equipment. On shore, Moses' relentless search paid off. He scoured CCTV footage and traced Tucker's truck to the docked boat. Bursting onto the scene, he smashed the lock and freed Zephyr, tears of relief streaming down her face. But salvation was fleeting. Tucker returned, and attacking with brutal force. Knowing the authorities would soon intervene, Tucker steered toward a deserted island. He strapped Zephyr beside Moses, dragging the Moses overboard to the waiting sharks, a grotesque display of his madness and obsession with recording every horrifying moment. Tucker's madness reached its peak. He bound Moses's injured but still breathing friend and lowered him into the open water. Sharks circled hungrily, snapping dangerously close. Zephyr screamed, urging him to stay still. Panic would mean death. Against all odds, he obeyed, floating rigid and forcing the predators to hesitate. Tucker's rage erupted. He yanked the man from the water, slicing deep into his flesh before hurling him back. Blood streaked the sea, instantly attracting the sharks. Just as he about to lower Moses to sea, a helicopter appeared overhead, its searchlight sweeping the waves. Tucker cursed, dragging both prisoners below deck. The sharks were momentarily held back, but her friend's life now teetered on a knife's edge. Determined, Zephyr fought against her own restraints. Her hands wouldn't budge, so she took the unthinkable step, breaking her own thumb and biting through the remains to free herself. Pain seared through her, but finally, she was unshackled. When Tucker returned with another sedative, Zephyr tricked him, locking him inside a room before rushing to seize control of the boat. Tucker, always relentless, forced his way out and shut down the system. Escape seemed impossible. The fight that followed was brutal. Bloodied and desperate, Zephyr dove into the shark-infested waters, aiming for the distant wedding party island. Sharks circled, drawn by the scent of blood, while Tucker pursued her in a smaller boat. Just as safety seemed within reach, Tucker caught her. Darkness overtook her as he knocked her out, dragging her back aboard. This time, he had a grand spectacle in mind. Zephyr was strapped and lowered into the water before a massive great white shark. Tucker laughed maniacally, certain this would be her end. But Zephyr remained calm. The shark circled, curious yet cautious. Scars streaked its body, a survivor like herself. In that moment, she understood the truth. The real predators were not the sharks, but humans like Tucker. Drawing on every ounce of courage, Zephyr fought back. She broke free, climbed aboard, and drove a spear straight into Tucker. He toppled into the ocean, the great white claiming him instantly. His screams were swallowed by the sea, the monster he had worshipped delivering a fitting, fatal judgment, all caught on his own camera. Exhausted and bloodied, Zephyr slipped into the water. Her friend cried out, fearing she was gone forever, but moments later, she emerged, pulling him back aboard. With her last strength, she lit a flare. A passing boat spotted them, rushing to rescue them both. The nightmare was over. Zephyr had survived, proving that courage, resourcefulness, and determination define true survival. The ocean's predators were feared for a reason, but the most dangerous creatures on Earth walked on two legs, and she had faced one and lived to tell the tale.